G'day guys, and welcome to episode number 47 of The Full Landscape. Today we are talking to Mr. Josh Hooper. You might remember Josh as a guest of ours from episode number 6, very early in the piece of The Full Landscape, almost 3.5 years ago. So over 3 years ago we sat down with Josh to talk about his business, Landscape Techniques. Now, I don't think I gave Josh the best opportunity to share his business and his insights around business because it was so early in the piece of me doing podcasting, and I didn't have the experience. So hopefully this episode is much more insightful and much more enjoyable and really shines a light on how well Josh has managed to build this unbelievable landscape construction business that's at the top of its game here in South Australia. Now, the reason we were able to do this was Josh had some time. We're sitting here in Adelaide at the moment under a 7-day lockdown. The podcast was done on Zoom. Hopefully the quality of it's there. The quality of the information definitely is. Josh knows his stuff. In the podcast, we talk a little bit about how he's handling the lockdown and what he's doing, his experiences since we spoke last, and I guess how he's evolved as a director, and a little bit about human resources. So there's a lot in there. Hopefully you enjoy this one. If you've got any questions or comments for either of us, please feel free to stick them in the comments section below. If you can like the video, that would be really good. It helps us grow the channel and helps us reach more people. And obviously, if you haven't subscribed and you are enjoying the content, here's a good opportunity to subscribe because you'll be able to get notified of when these videos come out and further enjoy the landscape community. Finally, thank you very much for your attention. I don't take it for granted. I think that YouTube's a funny place, and obviously an audio platform that you're listening to this on as well. And it's quite hard to grow the channel, and there's plenty of options out there for you to listen to. So that is it. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. Thank you for taking some time to chat. I'm not sure how much time you've got, but I wanted to kind of just do a full landscape. I just watched over our last full landscape, and in hindsight, and I got some feedback early in my podcasting time that my style probably wasn't giving my guests enough time to actually talk because I don't shut up.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to kind of almost do a 2.0 with you and get a bit of an understanding of almost like, that was over 3 years ago we talked now. I know that sounds
really?
April 2018 we did that first podcast. You don't look a day older than you did there, and I look 10 years older. So, well, you didn't have any more hair in that podcast.
No, I think I had a hat on, didn't I?
You did.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just wanted to kind of spend some time and talk about Landscape Techniques and what Landscape Techniques has done since then. Obviously, you came out the back of a partnership, and it was still, I think, early days of LT under the creative managing directorship of the creative managing director, Josh Hooper.
Are you trying to give me shit there, mate? What's going on?
We talked about that. Are you still the creative and managing director of Landscape Techniques? Is that the job title that you're currently running, or?
No. I am. It's director, but the creative side I still love it, and I still do a fair bit of it, but I've got people way better than me doing it now. So I just do almost a little bit what you do, mate. Just try and link everything together.
Yeah, it was good to reflect on it. It gave me I've got a few questions that I want to talk about, then I'll go into the lockdown. So obviously your team's changed quite a lot since we spoke last, and I'm across it, but just for everyone that maybe has watched that first podcast and
we had Tom. Yeah, obviously Tom was with us then, who's now obviously out doing his own thing and killing it. I saw a couple of things over the last couple of days, and
I should actually probably reach out to Tom and do a podcast. This is probably the perfect time.
Good. Yeah.
So since then, Tom's obviously grown or spread his wings. He had wings back then, but now he's flying on his own. So you've added 2 more into that side of the business.
Yeah. So I got Brad and Luke now in the Kent Town in the design office. So Brad pretty much the design coordinator, and Luke, who is a graduate landscape architect, who is sort of on the same sort of realm as Tom, in just a bit of a 3D wonder kid, to be honest.
Yep.
which we love. Our whole brand is about creating something that people can sort of try before they buy, and seeing the 3D world, not only in just the landscape but the house as well, really helps our clients, and even clients that are actually doing a new build as well.
So when you do a design, I guess I'm interested to understand if you have any involvement anymore. But then when they do it, they then tie it into the house with the 3D, so they'll actually draw the existing property or get the files from the builder. Is that how that works?
Yeah, definitely.
So the majority of the properties that you work on now, obviously you won't probably talk about this because you're a modest human being, but you're working, in the best of the best now. Like the houses you're working on are the upper echelon of South Australian property builds.
Well, yeah, I think there's a few of us that are doing it. There's.
I'm not saying you're on an island, but more just we're talking about you. So are there houses? Those houses, majority of the time, are the builders drawing those houses as a 3D house when they're building them? Because I'm not familiar with that. I'm only obviously on the landscape side.
Yeah, so we do. We obviously get files from the architect or designer, whoever's doing the home, which makes our life so much easier. So we've already got that base plan there, and then I'm still involved in it. So Brad and Luke will go out, have a look at the site. Then the plan is that we get the clients into our office at Kent Town. We work through, what they want out of their garden and outdoor space. I like to be in that meeting at the start to just get a feel of what they like. And then we go from there, and we just, we sort of sit down, probably have a 2 to 4 hour sort of design brief meeting where all three of us as a collective sort of come up with ideas and ways of achieving what they want, and just probably going a little bit further as well. And I think having a group of 3, it was really good when it was a group of 2, but I think having as a group of 3, especially, the boys are very creative, and that I've got that sort of side of it still needs to be built as well. So having all them together, seems to work all right.
So in addition, so obviously they get that design brief, and then they run with it, and then what you'll just have a follow up, just to review the work and make sure that what was discussed, everyone kind of delivered.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, if we need to, get a survey plan, and then we do a couple of concepts. We love trying to build it. With Luke, we can just build it in 3D straight away. So we can just be pulling bits out, putting bits in, and you can really, for us, it's almost that try before you buy as well. So you're definitely getting a sense of scale. Just how it all sort of blends in with the architecture of the home. It's pretty much the way we do it. Build out a 3D.
What software is that? Is that using Google? What's it called?
So we use SketchUp as our base, and then we render it through Lumion. And obviously Lumion can do anything. So you can, we've just gone and bought a heap of plants as well. So you're always updating, and Lumion's really good for plant selection. So, you can pretty much build your own plants through SketchUp, but Lumion really gets that rendering, that real life sort of look quite well. That's what we use anyway. It works for us.
Are you able to use those softwares, or are you just...
Mate, nah. I gave up. Like, I can do bits and pieces, but there's no point.
Yeah, I get that. We've got that with landscape irrigation design. They all do that on CAD now, and I wouldn't even know how to log in and draw a line. Which I like.
CAD's I think that's okay, but SketchUp is easy until you actually really need to get in depth with everything, and then it's just still so quick.
From what I remember with SketchUp, you have to follow a certain order as well. If you don't go in the right order, it kind of all falls down. I don't know if it's still... I mean, I haven't used that for 10 years, but...
Sort of. There's so many little shortcuts as well with anything. There's that many shortcuts where Luke will just go, "What are you doing?" And I'm just like...
Being a creative director, get out of my face.
Yeah. Exactly. But nah, mate, like I said, that's why I've got them. Is they're way better than me at it, so let them go.
Yeah. So the
the rest of the team, has much changed? Like, has your team grown in that 3 years, or have you pretty much kept the construction side pretty consistent?
It's grown a little. It's shrunk. We've got 16 or 18 in the construction crew. We've got an estimator now, Nigel, who is sort of on board as probably a 30-30-30. So 30% estimating, 30% project management, and 30% on the tools. He still likes to get out there. At the moment, with everything being so busy, it's probably 50-50 in estimating and project management. So, he hasn't been out in the tools. His first real day out in the tools was going to be yesterday, which obviously didn't happen. But we started up Benchmark, which is a software estimating program as well. So Nigel's right into that. He's been teaching me a fair bit with it as well. I like to have a bit of an idea of all the programs we're using as well, just so that you can tinker with it and go through it a little bit.
That makes sense. When those late nights when you're sitting up and you're like, well, hang on a sec, or if you get a message from a client, it's handy to be able to open up and actually fix something yourself and get back to them, because you don't actually expect your team to work at 10 at night, as much as they probably do. You want to be able to do it yourself.
And that's it, mate. I'm so lucky to have guys that I've got. They do, live and breathe it.
And it's funny that you say luck, because it's not luck. Luck and skill, it's a blurry line, but they care about it because you've obviously chosen the right team members, or
some of them have fallen in my lap for sure, but others, we search for. But you create a good brand and you hope that people get there or get here.
I've got the brandings written down. I'm curious to understand. Obviously, you moved from Landscape Techniques, or you still are Landscape Techniques, but you had a strong focus on the new logo on LT. Talk to me a bit about that, your reason behind doing that, and then I guess, have we seen what it means yet, or is there still another generation to come?
I think it's always evolving. The reason why we got away from, we're still Landscape Techniques now, we sort of go, our branding is all about LT. We didn't want to see ourselves as just a landscape company. So I think last time we talked about, I've got my builder's license to single story. So for me, doing the, little renovations, pool houses, outdoor rooms, all that sort of stuff was a big one for me to get into. It was that sort of that niche market that I thought no one else had gone into. And, I'm sure others are doing it now, but that's my passion, is trying to build buildings really, and just create a bit more of a habitable space for people to live in, rather than just the landscape side.
So we haven't probably seen the last 20% of that branding. Well, I guess the branding's there, but the actual, like, the rollout of what it actually means.
And it's probably only been, it's probably the last two years that we've really pushed with it. And we're just starting to get the photos and all that so that we can actually let people know what we can do.
So you've been building those structures. You're just not probably known for it in the greater.
No, I don't think so. Like, a lot of people that we talk to or come in to have a consult don't actually realise what we can do. And it's the idea is that we just get that, people just get that complete package. They don't have to go anywhere else. We've got our in-house carpenters. Yes, we sub out our pools. But for us, I know how hard it is to find pool tilers, and there's only a couple of spray guys. It's just not worth us delving into that. And then, the landscape side, we've got some great guys that absolutely smash it, and also want to get more involved in the build side as well, because it's just that next step.
I think that's important, because obviously, I mean, I don't know the exact details of your, what are you, 21 years of Landscape Techniques? I saw on LinkedIn the other day. And obviously, you've had the opportunity to evolve from working on site with Gareth as just the two of you, I'm guessing, at one point, to the place you're at now. And I think if you don't offer that opportunity for the guys inside the business to move into the same kind of growth pattern that you've had without starting their own business, then you're going to you potentially open yourself up to them starting their own business.
Totally. Yeah, you got to challenge people almost every day, I reckon. So, yeah, I know, David Short, who has been in the industry way longer than me. He just loves it at LT because he gets challenged on every job. And Ash Collett, he's been around it longer than I have as well, and he's the same. He just loves that challenge and just doing something different, building something new.
It's interesting. The two things that come to mind when you're talking about that is soldiers that train but don't go to war, and then athletes that train but don't go to compete. A mate of mine quit his job in the army because they wouldn't let him go back to the war. And you've got these guys that have learned how to do and I think you would fairly describe they're some of the best tradespeople that you have access to in Dave and Ash, and obviously the team that flow below them. Not giving them the opportunity to go play that game or go compete at that level is kind of a waste of that talent.
It is, and they just get bored. I'd get bored too. And then you're going to look for other things, But that's the aim, is they go looking on the job that they're doing.
Well, so say they don't have to go looking further than the whiteboard or whatever digital asset that you're using to track the jobs, do they?
Exactly.
So what's a day in the life of you look like now? Obviously, you've evolved as a director, and I'm assuming that it's interesting. I look back when I just watched back the last podcast. You talked a bit about accounting and how at school accounting was that's what that school was kind of pushing the students to become.
Yeah.
How much of that do you see in your day to day now? And I mean this when I say it. From the outside, it looks like you run a very good business, and I'm assuming that if other landscapers were given the luxury of looking at your books, that they'd be respectful of how you run your business. How much of that accounting is being used, or do you not notice it?
No, I do notice it, and I do a fair bit of it. Getting Nigel on board and using Benchmark we'd never really been I think landscaping is one of the hardest industries to actually track costs, profitability on jobs, because you've got so many elements. So, probably over the last 10 years, we've been trying to perfect it. And I thought I was going to be able to make up a spreadsheet that was going to be able to track everything, and it just wasn't. Fail. Got Nigel on board. I wasn't able to do all the estimating. Brad wasn't able to do all of it as well. And it was taking away from the design side for him as well. So, search for an estimator. Nigel came along, and being able to track and itemise tasks and materials and everything a lot neater and a lot better, and then be able to put them through to Mile and bring in some reports is where we should have been 10 years ago. But it takes time. And
I think it's also important to acknowledge that if you didn't do something about it in 10 years, you'd be saying the same thing. So it's easy to look at it and go, oh, we should have done this 10 years ago, but you could also be in a position where you still haven't done it. And I do that with a bunch of stuff here. That question kind of evolved as I was asking it. What I was, starting with was, what's a day in the life look like for you at the moment? And how much of that is accounting, and then what else are you spending your time on?
Accounting wise, not so much. So Emily, my wife, is on board now, so she does a fair bit of the, variations are another one, right? So I haven't gone away from the day in the life of Josh yet, but variations are huge for us. We tracking them and making sure that they get accounted for is huge. I reckon we worked out that there was close to 20K probably 2 years ago that went missing in variations, which, isn't huge, but it's...
For one job or for a whole year?
For a whole year.
Okay, so not dramatic, but still it's your money.
It's still it just shows how easy, $500 here, $200 there of extra stuff that, was probably being reported, but then just being lost in an email trail or something like that.
Yep.
And, that was just for 1 year. So God knows what it was like for, over 15 years. It definitely adds up. So Emily runs a lot of that now. She does a fair bit of the I suppose accounting side, along with Scott, the administrative assistant. So he's my accountant as well. So I trust him with everything that we do.
He's been your accountant for a long time. We
the
talked
whole
about
time.
this.
Yeah, 21 years, mate. Yep. So Gunn knows the business inside and out as well, which is so easy.
Yep.
But yeah, look, accounting side is big, but for me, it is really trying to. The day in the life of me is waking up. Starting off, I do go to the gym 3 or 4 times a day morning, just to actually clear my mind.
And that's morning. You always go morning.
Always morning. Yep.
Yep.
So 90% of the time is in the morning. Clear my mind, ready for to start the day, and then it's pretty much phone call.
What time are you getting up at the moment? What would be? Oh, not at the moment, but in a normal world.
Yeah, I've been sleeping in the last 2 days. It's been great. I normally get up at 4:30, so that's my normal start. Is 4:30. I normally get 15 minutes of trying to doing some journaling, right? So I do probably 15 minutes of journaling just to sort of reinforce what I'm doing in my own mind, and then gym, and then get cracking. So just, I suppose, having now quite a busy design side as well as the construction side, the linking the two is a full-time job for me, really. And also, just we've got quite a few jobs running. The guys can definitely run them themselves, but it's just making sure, just ticking the boxes as we go, really. My day changes, but it's always the same. If you get
what popped into my mind is, do you have control over your day? Like, or is the day kind of taking control of you? Obviously, if the phone's ringing all the time, or are you scheduling time with clients, and then obviously?
I do schedule, yeah. So my week is normally completely scheduled. Some days are better than others, obviously depending on what happens. But days get away from you, and you're literally cancelling meetings and whatever. For me, it is really trying to work out, all right, what's the most important thing that needs to get done at that point in time. So, you get a phone call, it's an urgent phone call. You got to work out, all right, do I do it, or can someone else do it, or whatever. So scheduling the importance of matters is a big one for me. And I'm just lucky, our team is awesome. I can pretty much, handball it off quite often.
Last time we spoke, you said that, well, we kind of talked about, like, could you go back to doing the job that you did at the start? And you said that you don't mind getting back on the tools from time to time, but you definitely couldn't go back to doing it full time. Is that still the case? It
is. And I still love creating things, working with my hands and whatnot. But I still love getting in, concrete work. I think we talked about that last time. That's one of my favourite things, and probably now the only thing that I'm actually reasonably good at still. So the boys actually let me do a bit of it. But I couldn't do it anymore. I feel that, I'm really now stuck into, doing what I do and sort of running a business, and running a business and managing people. You would be the same, mate, managing personalities. Everyone's different. And it's something that I've grown to love. At first I didn't, but I've definitely grown to love the idea of getting the best out of people.
The people side of things really interests me, and I think you and I are probably evolving at a very similar rate with that, because I used to hate the human resources side of the business, and I spoke to Lachlan Jeffries about it and suggested, like, I was almost like, why don't you have a HR department when you've got 70 staff? And I really feel like I need a HR department. And he's like, no, you need to be in touch with what's going on with the people, and having a HR department almost gives you a shield, so you're not really in touch with it. Yeah. I've really learned to love that regular communication. I guess I'm interested to know, do you have and I guess you wouldn't have a technique for it. What does that look like for you? Like, are you regularly communicating? Do you have, like, we use WhatsApp to communicate with our teams? Are you kind of open door policy? Like, tell me about your relationship with your staff and how you manage that.
Yeah, look, we have toolbox meetings, we have construction meetings. You know, I try and get to every site at least a couple of times a week. Sometimes it's only once a week. Sometimes it's not once a week. It all depends. But the idea is, yeah, I try and at least have a chat with everyone on site. We do reviews pretty much 3 times a year. So like a performance review, which, you know, I try and, it's not so much a monetary side. Like, yes, okay, we talk about the monetary side and the pays, but it's also about what people want to get out of their life, what they want to get, what can LT do for them, what can they do for LT, and so on. So yeah, it's really making sure we follow through with that.
And are you performing those, or like we've got that kind of thing, we call it a PDP, it's like a personal development plan. And Matt does some, and Luke does some, and Chris does some. Are you having the rest of your management team underneath you, or do you manage all of them currently?
No, I do all that. Yeah, no, that's all me. And I enjoy doing it. Like I said, you know, you're actually talking to people and, you know, trying to get out, not their deepest, darkest secrets.
No, yeah. Their desires, wants, needs, fears.
Yeah. I love that side. It can be very wearing. Like after, you know, I normally do 3 reviews a day, and during that week I am spent. You know?
It's a really emotionally taxing. I said I did that. I do a lot of internal videos. That's the way I communicate with my guys. I'll do a YouTube video while I'm driving and then just share it as a private link. And I think the only time I feel fatigued in business is when we let customers down, and when I have staff that aren't getting along well and there's human issues. Nothing else really bothers me. Like, money's money. You know, same with, like, if a job, like concrete doesn't work, you do it again. Like, I don't get angry, or it doesn't drain me. So like it really physically drains me when it's human problems. And I think you might be similar because you care so much. It's
100%. Yeah, definitely. Everyone's 90% of the staff that we've got have been with me for, you know, more than 10 years. So you know, it becomes pretty much like a family.
You're part of their life, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So you said half your life's business, or half of your day might be business, half might be human resources. From a business standpoint, are you doing much, I guess, personal development, education around business? Have you done any courses since we spoke, or where are you at with all that?
I've sort of been bits and pieces. So probably before we started renoing on our house, I was about to start doing some personal development with some guys, and then doing the renovations took up way more than I expected. And I haven't probably jumped on the bandwagon again. It's pretty much just trying to keep up with journaling. And I have a mate that lives in Melbourne that I did some development with back in the day, that I, you know, call every now and then, or chat to, or text, or whatever. And then just talking to, you know, like my wife Emily, you know, just having a chat with her about business stuff and personal stuff. And but it's definitely something that I really enjoy doing, that personal development. As I'm sure you do, you know, you get a massive high out of it, I think, especially with speaking to people that are good at it. Like, it's amazing how good you feel after a good session.
The journaling, something you've mentioned twice, is that something that's obviously important to you? Have you been doing that for long?
Yeah, I have been doing it for long. I'll probably do, you know, 3 months here and then miss a month.
Meditation's like that for me. You just kind of get busy and...
And, you know, it's an easy one to just blow off, and then you realise that 6 weeks have gone and you haven't done anything. But yeah, meditation, mate, is something I haven't really done a lot of, and it's something I know you've talked about. Something that, eventually I really would be keen to look into it.
It's something that I miss, I forget about, and then I kind of move on, but you kind of get busy, and then something will go wrong, or you'll have, I haven't had anxiety for a long time, which has been really good, but you kind of, something will come back and you're like, oh shit, I need to meditate. Like, you kind of, and even Lisa, my assistant, she'll be like, do you need to meditate? I'm like, I think so. We just kind of get me 20 minutes. I need to go sit in a room by myself. So at the moment, are you recruiting at the moment? Like the recruitment in the market seems ridiculously challenging. Like, are you kind of stable with staff at the moment?
Well, we're reasonably stable. I'm always recruiting, to be honest. I'm always looking, I always keep my ear out for the people that, might want to move on or has got ideas. Like, we would love, our next step is, we're pushing for a carpentry apprentice. So that's probably our next step. We've got enough now that we can, fulfill that role.
You've got a carpenter, and then you'd have an apprentice under the carpenter.
Yeah, so Henry White, who has started with us, he's our carpenter / building supervisor. So he's taken a massive load off of my shoulders in regards to all of our build stuff. He can pretty much run it all. So that's fantastic. So yeah, he just needs, I suppose, that second helping hand that we don't need. We just don't need to fill it with one of our other guys.
I wouldn't imagine that role would be as hard to fill as a qualified landscaper right now. Like, I spoke to someone connected through, I guess, the apprenticeship scheme and Master Landscapers about the apprenticeships. And whenever they advertise an apprenticeship, they get like 500 applicants. And then if you advertise for a landscaper, you might get 100. And I'm just saying 100 is probably ridiculous. You're probably saying you get 20, but have you hired apprentices before? Is it something that you're familiar with?
No, we have. We've got 3 landscape apprentices at the moment. So they're all, third year, I think. Third year. So they're all sort of, now they're really starting to evolve. And, for me, it's really building, our company from within. And apprentices are a great way of doing that, learning our way and, growing them from the bottom up.
It's nice to have them come in with no preconceived ideas about how Josh Hooper should be doing stuff. Not that there's anything wrong with some of the experienced heads. Sometimes it can be a bit
and that's the thing. Like, that's probably a big one for me. Is I always thought, it's my way or the highway type. And probably the last 5 years has really shown me that, there's obviously a standard that we've got to stick to. But how you reach that standard is a little bit up to you. As long as it's done properly, you can. The guys that are running the sites can do it however they want, as long as, it's.
Well, that's exactly how it needs to be, though. I mean, that's the same with any business. You've got to. There's no point hiring these elite athletes and then not letting them actually go play the game. I know I used an analogy like that before, but. Obviously, it's interesting. You and I have been trying to organise to do a deep dive for ages, and obviously you've been ridiculously busy. Now we find ourselves in a situation where both of us have a decent amount of spare time. I want to talk a little bit about the lockdown and just get a bit of an understanding of what your thought process was like when everything went down, and then what your immediate, what your communication was with your staff, how you're navigating what's going on, and then what the plan is to move. And that's a big question, but it was really the main reason I wanted to talk to you, because obviously you've got 20 plus staff. And I know what that feels like, to have them all just stop generating an income. And then obviously they're supporting them. Talk to me through the whole thing. I guess what stood out for you and what did you do?
Yeah, well, when I first heard it, I was actually pretty stoked, because I think all of us do need a bit of a rest, to be honest. Almost like that circuit breaker type that we were supposed to have a while ago.
That you wanted to be 6 days, but it was only 3.
I was spewing. I was there at that point. That was that was a big one for us. But so a lot of the boys, it's on one side, it was it's good that we can have a little bit of a break. Like, this winter has been pretty hard, and I've got a couple of jobs, not so much in the hills, but that are not really overly profitable, and the boys have been pushing really hard, and it's they're just coming back filthy, head to toe in mud. And I know I spoke to Ryan about it. It hasn't been a great 3 months, profitability wise, and then you get hit with obviously this, where wage bill is going to hurt with no income coming in. But, I suppose for me, I always sort of, Tony Robbins always planned for the winter a little bit and just have a little bit stashed away. Yeah, okay, it's, pretty much my savings. But, it's I text Ryan the other night and we were just, saying survival of the fittest sometimes, and you just got to push through and not stress out too much about it. I really hope, and I think the way we're going, I really hope that construction industry is back on Monday. And
I've got a good feeling that Mondays. I've been saying that today. I think Monday's a reality with the low numbers.
Yeah, if the low numbers stay, I think we're right. But yeah, for me, it's my team, or our team, sorry, is it's like family. So everyone just gets paid, right?
Mm.
If it then drags out to fortnight, month, or whatever, then different thing. I have to have a real good think about it. But at the moment, it's just business as usual. Those boys get a bit of a rest. The design side, Nigel, they're a bit behind, so this is perfect just to catch up a little. And business as usual. Hopefully, we get back on Monday and the sun is shining, which would be very nice.
If this does go, like if this did extend out for a month, and there was no government support, I guess just your snap reaction now, what would you, I guess, how would you handle that?
So, well, a lot of my, obviously working with me for quite a long time, a lot of them have got annual leave and stuff like that. So that would probably be something that we look at, is forcing annual leave, which sucks for them because it's not what they can do much. But at the same time, they've still got a job, still being paid. And then we would just have to work out a bit of a pay for, I've only got a couple of casual guys, but we just work with it.
Work out how to support them through it.
Yeah, it's like when we first heard COVID was hitting, mate, and it was just like, all right, we've just got to work out a way. And whether that was, all right, let's start with 20% less, and then if it comes back, we pay that 20% back. But I don't know. I don't think worst case in regards to this. I'm just like, let's see how it goes. If it goes for a month, it's going to be pretty bloody tough, and you're going to have to make some hard decisions.
That's being a business owner, isn't it?
It is, mate. It is 100%.
Are you where you felt like you wanted to be in life and in business at the stage that you're at now? Do you feel like you're where you wanted to be?
I think the business is pretty close. I suppose I still feel that at the moment, it's getting better, but probably 2 years ago, I felt the amount of work I was doing was probably unsustainable. And, there was a bit of burnout about to happen. And that's, pretty much Brad and I sat down and worked out that, the fact that both him and I were doing all the estimating and still doing everything else just pushed us back even further. And in the end, it was either getting another designer or after Luke, or getting an estimator. And then, it's slowly getting to the stage where Nigel's taking over pretty much all the estimating works and, 50% of the project management side. And, there's a bit of light at the end of the tunnel.
What do you miss most about life before we knew about COVID-19?
Rephrase that. What was that? Sorry.
What do you miss most about the life that you had before COVID-19 came into our lives? Like, think back, before January 19, like what's different in your life that you miss?
Surfing in warm water.
In warm water? Yeah, I had a feeling that would be the answer.
yeah, like I had almost a 6-week trip planned for my 40th to go away, spend a fair bit of time in Indonesia, and that just didn't happen. And
When did you turn 40?
last year.
No shit.
Yeah.
Not 40.
Thanks, mate.
That's for that warm
yeah,
water
so
surgery.
that, look, that's probably the biggest one, and just not being able to take family and kids away on holidays. Like we're lucky. We got a caravan. We do a quick trip to Yorks or West Coast or whatever, and we're lucky we live here and we've been able to do that. But I don't know, just getting away. We used to go to Bali every year, and that's probably the biggest one for me. Business wise, we've been busier than ever, and there's no better time to. Well, people want more out of their homes. Their home is their castle now, and they want, they like everything.
How close is your house to being finished?
It's probably, I need it finished. My 2 girls have birthdays in November, so swimming pool is and living with them in lockdown is not always amazing, but no, we're pretty close. It's just been hard with this wet weather, trying to get all the concrete down. The pool's tiled. We're just waiting on final concrete and fencing and those bits and pieces. But inside, we're living in it, mate. So last lockdown, we're at the in-laws. So this one is a lot nicer.
Yeah, I can imagine. I've got great in-laws, but I couldn't imagine living with them.
No,
I think it's just nice to have your own space.
Yeah.
How much of your success in business do you attribute to luck, and how much do you attribute to your talents and skill?
Luck. I think there's a good 30% of luck, I reckon. I think just doing that little bit extra is all you need to do to actually be good in business, right? So whether it's that little bit of 30% more of working a little bit harder or a little bit longer, or just going a little bit further to excite and surprise your clients is a big one for me and for the boys as well. So that's pretty much our biggest one is, making sure at the end of a job, the client was amazed at what either it looks like or the experience, and they'd refer us again, So I think, you're never going to have 100% success rate with clients, but as long as at the end of the day you've done the right thing and you've gone back and had to fix something. If everyone has to fix something, but just do it, and go that a little bit further.
Is that the LT difference?
I knew you were going to say that. Yes, that's it, mate. Yeah, exactly. It's just that little bit.
You'll get a different podcast than most people because I've known you for over a decade. So it's going to be more. I get to have a few little laughs along the way with my friend, the creative and managing director.
Yeah, I love it.
I guess I don't have any more questions. I'm curious to know, like, if someone wanted to use you guys now, like when they're like, if they engage Landscape Techniques to come out and do a design and install, like when are they getting it installed?
That's probably the biggest pain point we have at the moment. Is
don't call us.
Hey,
don't call us. We don't want your work.
No, definitely not. Design wise, we are good 6 to 8 weeks, right?
That's not too bad.
Starting a design. Obviously, there's things that we do prior to that, to keep obviously the clients, engaged and doing bits and pieces, Pinterest pages and stuff. And then, pretty much we're February at the moment, February, March before starting a project, which he's pretty standard, I think, at the moment. But
Yep.
it's a tough one to tell people. Like I met with a client on Monday. They really wanted, some stuff done before the end of the year. And I just, said that we couldn't. Like, I'm not, you've got to be open and honest. For me, transparency is everything. So, and they were just like, okay, we can put a pause on it. And I think it does help that everyone else is in that same boat as well.
They're not going to go, oh, well, if you can't do it, then this guy will do it. Or if you can't do it, then Scale will do it. Like, it's, everyone's busy.
And we don't want those people we don't want those clients either. We want the clients that want us.
They want you for the art, not the speed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And we haven't had any pull out because of it. So we'll just keep doing it. But it's not the greatest when you tell someone that, you're 6 months away from starting anything.
It is what it is, man. I remember when we had our house done, I just wanted it done. But I think once you get past the initial shock of life is long, as much as life is fragile and life is short, life is long. And another year to wait for the job to be done by the person that you want to do it, or have it done to the quality and the standard that you want to do it. You won't remember that year, but you will remember the result. You can use that in your marketing if you want.
Thanks, man.
You won't remember the wait. Thanks for making the time to do this, man.
No problems.
I think it's beneficial for the younger landscapers that maybe want to be in your shoes in 10 years or 20 years.
Oh man, I think it's great. And I think, like I said, I think you just got to go do that little bit more. And just be true to yourself, really.
Yeah. All right. I'll finish the podcast up now. Stay online. I want to keep talking to you, but I'll close off now for anyone watching and listening at home. If you want to get in touch with Landscape Techniques, I think Instagram's probably one of the most frequented places to go both view their work and to get in touch directly with Josh. I'm assuming you're on the other end of the Instagram chat.
I am, mate.
And then we'll link up all your details in the section below. And if anyone's looking at getting their backyard done before Christmas 2022, then you're the man.
Front yard, one of the two.
Oh, their front yard. Yeah, no, they don't. They're not exclusively backyard landscapers, backyarders. Anyway, thanks, man.